Welcome to Aftermath's Gold Challenge Mode Guide. I'm Marza, and this is Hell. I mean the Stormstout Brewery. Stormstout Brewery, you can see right away. We just truck through, pull these mobs, the first two, and then these second three. In the room with the second three, there are fiery tricksters that your ranged DPS can hit once, and if they hit the ones that are channeling into those three monkeys, they'll lose about 60% of their health. It is definitely worth doing that, because these guys have a lot of HP. You can see I used a speed drum on the pole. We all pre-potted. This is the most tightly tuned out of all of the instances in terms of the timer. It is very difficult. I have to kite these mobs around. I'm using chillblains in my spec. We have also used a hunter trap. It's a little less convenient, but it works. Anything you can use to kite will work here, ideally. Other people might get aggro as they're AEing these, but since they're all snared, they can sort of kite too if need be. The large elite monkeys that are in that pack, if I were to stop and get hit by all of them, would basically just cause me to die instantly. So this can be a little bit hair-raising, but it's actually not too hard once you get used to it. In terms of killing them, rather than AEing, well, I should say in addition to AEing, you'll notice that everybody is running barrels into them. The barrels do a lot of damage, and are pretty much key to getting this down quickly. Without the barrels, you would be doing this for at least twice as long. Note that you can keep casting while you're on the barrel, so everybody's still AEing while they're riding barrels into the mobs. We've just hit 40 out of 40, there are still a few elite mobs left, so I use Icebound Fortitude to tank them, because I don't want to tank them with the boss. Actually, they died pretty quickly that time, but that's not always the case, so you should still always have a cooldown. We pull the boss back here, towards the door. There are about 3 barrels, 2 from the left, 1 from the right, that will run into him, just as he stands there. If nothing else, it's easier for the ranged to hop onto them quickly and hit the boss with minimal time lost if they don't have to run around the room. You can also see that when he's doing a ground pound, I get out of the way because it's a stun. And if a barrel is coming by, I will jump onto it as a tank as well. The barrels are basically key to beating this boss quickly. Each one gives him a 5% damage taken debuff, or maybe it's 10%. It's something. And it adds up. And the barrels do quite a bit of damage on their own. So as soon as this boss dies, we run over towards the door. We need to group up. It's not worth having one person try to run ahead. It's better to stay together. The hoppers in this section, once they aggro on someone, will start to hop in place and explode. If you're all together, you can just ignore them and run past. If you're spread out, then they will explode on whoever is lagging behind. So whoever's in front will aggro them, they'll start to explode, and they'll hit someone in the back and stun them, and they'll probably die. It's important for ranged DPS to target one of the boppers on the way up and start working them down. You really want to get a hammer fairly quickly once you're up here so that you can eliminate all of this trash. The boss won't spawn, we don't believe, until you kill enough of the mobs that are hopping off of this big keg out here. I'm not certain exactly how many it is, but you'll see his nameplate inside the barrel once he's spawned. You can see I've Gorfian's grasped all of those together, so that we can AE them, and there's the hammer, and it clears most of it out. At this point, from now until the time the boss is dead, a lot of it is just picking up hammers and using them efficiently. See, we marked another bopper there so that we can kill it and pick up another hammer. It's better to kill the bopper and get the hammer than it is to AE. There's Hoptalis' nameplate in the barrel, you can see that he spawned. And that we have a lot of hammers to pick up. When he's casting Whirlwind, he will often de-target the tank and head towards someone else. And the tank can taunt him and pull him back. You can see right here he's going after the hunter. It's best not to do it immediately, it's best to let him move a little bit as he moves rather slow, and that way you can keep him fairly stationary the entire time. So when he spawns the ads, he'll start using his Carrot Breath. The difficult part here is avoiding the Carrot Breath while also avoiding the hoppers who will be trying to explode on you. It's fairly straightforward as far as strategy goes, though. You're just circling around avoiding the breath, the tank picks up the mobs, and you use hammers when they're clumped. These boppers that are left over actually do a fair bit of damage. At this point, the goal is to get only one set of Relevant Addons, and just off-tank the second set. So we will not be AEing any more ads if they come. This next mob presents a great opportunity for your healer to drink. It does not hit hard, and they can pretty much drink to full while you kill it. The large elementals, this type, are always bloated on challenge mode, which means they will cast bloat on somebody, and that is the ability where your two sides start to spew out beer through your ears, and it will do damage to everybody standing next to you. So it's important for range to arrange themselves in a manner so that they won't be damaging each other. This next pack of 4 is the exact amount of mobs that you could skip in this instance. What you want to do is make sure not to aggro them. Right here we wait for it. If you touch any of these puddles, they will in fact aggro you regardless. You won't get a plus combat, but you will have them follow you up into the next room, and that can be not something you want to deal with, because the little ads are the most difficult type. So it's worth it to wait for them to path around and just avoid that. We pull these sudsy guys in and activate the boss. There's a fair amount of RP, and this boss takes a long time counting all of these pre-stages. This is where you'll spend most of the instance. The suds that they drop, I should note, do significantly more damage on challenge mode than on heroic. Standing in the suds does about 80,000 damage a second. You want to make sure you're moving out quickly. All of the mobs here, all the elementals, cast Brewbolt. There's nothing else to interrupt, so you should make sure that you're interrupting it when you can. It's not particularly dangerous, but it's extra damage they do, and your healer's going to be strapped. Right here, we go out of line of sight through the door. You can see me respeccing because I don't want to deal with the fact that changing talents often causes UI issues. What I'm respeccing for is my stun, and it's actually not on the bar where it should be, so you'll see me spellbook it. This is not super ideal. The intention behind this pull is that we LOS all of these around the corner, and we don't want to stun them until they start to cast heals into each other, at which point we would want to use our first stun. And then you wait for them to come out and start casting them again and stun them again, and you want to AE them before they start healing each other significantly. We actually don't manage to do that, but we get down enough of them. The problem is, if you don't kill them, they're clumped on top of each other, and you can't actually stand in the beams to stop the heals. So once that happens, you'll see that we have to start single targeting the low ones down. And it works okay, actually. But it shouldn't be your goal to do that. Your goal should be to pull them out here and have coordinated stuns and AE them. Just watching this should give you an idea of how long these take to kill if they actually start healing each other. We come in here for the final boss. You should already have pre-planned a sort of star-like design with your 5 players around the boss, so that you can stand in front of the yeasty ads with the beams. I'm sorry, this is not the boss yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. but these sudsy guys don't really offer any challenge. So, for the boss, we stand around in a star-like pattern. Pets also work to stop the yeasty beams, so behind him is not quite as relevant if you have pets. A mage can move their pet since it's a ranged pet. But your goal is to not let him ever heal, because if he gets a yeasty beam on him, he'll heal 1% a second, and it's actually a lot of health on the boss. The boss himself dies very quickly. You should need less than a minute left on your timer by the time he spawns in order to defeat him. You can see me using Army of the Dead. We will use Bloodlust, every cooldown, potions. You essentially have to burn him before you get 6 sudsy adds, or, excuse me, yeasty adds, or it's going to start to become really problematic. There's the first yeasty ad behind me. Actually, there's 2. There's one on the other side as well. So the boss is down to 50%, but we've already got half our players forced to stand in this. I do not jump over these, because sometimes when you jump, the beam will disengage from you and stick on the boss, and it's difficult to get it back. So instead I opted to use Icebound Fortitude to just stand in it. It's really one of those things where if you feel like you can sacrifice the DPS for the chance to not risk the chance of him getting healed, it's worth it to just eat it and get stunned. But if you don't have time for it, then you'll just have to jump and hope that it doesn't disengage itself from you. And that's Stormstout Brewery. I hope you found this guide helpful, so subscribe, check out our website, and visit me on Twitch. Thanks.